One of today's most prominent and advanced physicists has expressed his opinion on a groundbreaking matter. Michio Kaku, recognized for his outstanding contributions to the field of physics, has recently confirmed that the James Webb Space Telescope, JWST, has discovered 6 massive galaxies that scientists previously believed could not exist. These investigations hold the potential to open up new dimensions in our scientific understanding of the universe. It is therefore both exciting and important to monitor these developments closely. Michio Kaku is an exceptional figure in the scientific community. A physicist of both American and Japanese origin, he is regarded as an expert in classical experimental physics, as well as quantum mechanics. Unlike some more conservative and skeptical scientists, Kaku has remained open and receptive to the remarkable findings of the JWST mission. It is encouraging to see that this distinguished scientist has chosen to speak out and publicly share insights that can no longer be ignored. His enthusiasm and evident amazement at the discoveries made by JWST are reflected in his commentary, suggesting that this development has become a major point of interest for him. Join us as we explore the implications of Michio Kaku's reflections on the discovery of these 6 massive galaxies. Kaku is a scientist who has consistently been willing to consider new theories throughout his career. He understands that Einstein's equations of relativity and Newton's laws alone are not sufficient to capture the full complexity of the universe. As a renowned theoretical physicist and science communicator, Kaku has always maintained a forward-thinking perspective on the nature of reality. With the advent of the James Webb Space Telescope, Kaku acknowledges that we stand at the brink of a new scientific era, one that could transform our fundamental understanding of cosmology, astrophysics, and the origins of everything we know. He recognizes, perhaps better than most, that the discoveries emerging from this powerful new telescope are not just refinements of existing theories. Instead, they are groundbreaking revelations that could compel the scientific community to reassess foundational assumptions that have remained unchallenged for decades. Among the most compelling findings from JWST are images and data suggesting that massive galaxies formed far earlier than previously thought, some only a few hundred million years after the Big Bang. According to the standard cosmological model, this timeline is deeply problematic. The early universe, immediately after the Big Bang, was believed to be a hot, chaotic soup of particles. It supposedly took hundreds of millions of years for matter to cool enough to form stars, let alone organize galaxies. The presence of fully formed galaxies with more mass than the Milky Way during such an early epoch poses a serious challenge to our current understanding of the Big Bang theory. Kaku does not see these revelations as mere anomalies or data errors. Rather, he views them as opportunities, an invitation for science to evolve. He is keenly aware that scientific progress has always occurred not through rigid defense of established theories, but through a willingness to revise them in light of new evidence. Yet many of his peers have been reluctant to adopt this mindset. While some cling to existing models, hoping that further analysis will uncover errors in the data, Kaku remains open to the idea that the universe may be far more complex, ancient, or fundamentally different than previously imagined. This resistance to change is not surprising. Like any human institution, the scientific community is vulnerable to cognitive bias and institutional inertia. Many cosmologists have built their careers around the Big Bang model. They've published volumes of academic literature, received substantial research funding, and created entire subfields based on the assumption that this model is correct. To them, the possibility that these pillars of understanding could be flawed or incomplete is profoundly unsettling. Some scientists are reportedly experiencing what can only be described as professional anxiety, sleepless nights filled with uncertainty about whether their life's work might soon be overturned. Interestingly, this upheaval is not limited to traditional cosmologists. Both proponents and critics of quantum mechanics, typically on opposing sides of theoretical physics, are equally shaken by the implications of JWST's findings. Quantum theorists who have worked to align the Big Bang model with quantum fluctuations at the universe's inception are now faced with new puzzles that don't fit existing frameworks. For example, If these early galaxies really did form so quickly and grew so massive, then the quantum fluctuations believed to seed galaxy formation might require a thorough reevaluation. The mathematical models predicting slow, gradual galactic evolution from quantum seeds may no longer hold up. Conversely, those who reject the quantum view must now contend with a universe that seems to contradict deterministic classical explanations. Despite the intellectual turmoil, Michio Kaku remains characteristically calm, almost amused. He does not see this situation as a crisis but as a necessary stage in scientific advancement. Where others see chaos, he sees opportunity. While some scientists lie awake at night anxious about the implications for their theories, Kaku laughs, not in derision, but in the joyful realization that we are on the verge of a transformative discovery. For Kaku, the discomfort rippling through the scientific community is not a sign of failure, but evidence that we are asking the right questions. Kaku's reaction reflects his deep respect for the scientific method, which is based not on dogma, but on discovery. He often reminds audiences that many groundbreaking theories like the heliocentric model of the solar system, plate tectonics, and quantum theory were initially ridiculed or rejected before being accepted as fundamental truths. He argues that science must remain flexible, rigorous, yes, but always open to radical revision when the evidence demands it. In Kaku's view, the discoveries made by JWST could be the 21st century equivalent of Galileo turning his telescope to the heavens and discovering that Jupiter had moons and Saturn had rings. Just as those observations shattered the long-held belief in a geocentric universe and ushered in the modern scientific era, JWST may now be dismantling the traditional view of a singular beginning to time and a predictable cosmic evolution. What excites Kaku most is the possibility that we are missing an entire chapter, or perhaps even a volume of cosmic history. If galaxies could form so quickly after the Big Bang, perhaps other forces were at play, or maybe the universe is cyclic, having undergone previous epochs of expansion and collapse. Alternatively, the tools we use to measure cosmic time and distance, such as redshift, may need to be reevaluated. Kaku understands that these are radical ideas, but he embraces them, knowing that good science requires the courage to explore the unknown, even when it contradicts long-held beliefs. The JWST has uncovered 6 massive galaxies that date back to the earliest moments of the universe. Each of these galaxies contains more stars than the Milky Way, despite forming only 200 to 700 million years after the Big Bang. The team of astronomers responsible for this discovery has dubbed these exceptional galaxies universe breakers. If confirmed, they could revolutionize our entire understanding of the cosmos. Something simply doesn't fit anymore. The Big Bang theory tells us that the early cosmos was a chaotic state, taking hundreds of thousands of years to form the first solid objects and even more time for those objects to become dense enough to emit light and eventually form complex structures like galaxies. Some of these newly discovered galaxies are larger than the Milky Way, and their luminosity suggests they were forming hundreds of stars each year. While our own galaxy does so only sporadically, it's still uncertain when exactly the first galaxies formed. So far, researchers have not been able to pinpoint this moment. The prevailing theory has been that individual stars or small star groups eventually clustered into larger structures, forming dwarf galaxies, which merged over time. According to earlier models, highly organized and massive galaxies should not have existed so early, raising the question, is the universe far older than we thought, or did complex structures evolve much faster? This notion is difficult for conservative science to accept. Some physicists have strongly rejected this discovery, questioning whether errors in age calculation could be to blame. Michio Kaku, aware of this resistance, remarked that many outdated and false theories have persisted simply because of the prestige of the scientists who championed them. He stressed that experimentalists play a crucial role in keeping theorists honest, reminding us that real science is rooted in observation and experimentation. On Earth, we still know very little about the true origins of the cosmos. The Big Bang theory, established in 1927 based on observations of the universe's expansion, led to the conclusion that the cosmos emerged from a single point, and has been expanding ever since. At that time, it was difficult for both scientists and the public to imagine a universe with a beginning and an end. The prevailing belief was that the universe had always existed, infinite in both time and space. Even today, many scientists struggle with these concepts, yet it's essential to revisit these possibilities. These new discoveries clearly do not align with decades of research based on the Big Bang theory.